Morning everyone, again instalment number 4 of Lunch with Larry. I've been asked to do some bread like you get in PL1, the really nice soft bread rolls you get in PL1. Not very exciting I hear you say, but I'm going to show you from that one basic mix how you can extend it and make focaccia, French bread, cottage loaves, all manner of things. So from one basic bread roll recipe, which is perfect, you can get as many things out of it as you like. Is it the real focaccia? No. Is it the real French stick? No. But no one's gonna know. This recipe never fails. It's perfect every time. We use it in PL1 for everything. And you don't need any specialist equipment or any fancy ingredients. All we've got is yeast, salt and sugar, margarine, warm water and flour. Ingredients will be on the actual caption at the bottom of this film. So what I'm going to do is add salt and sugar, margarine and dry yeast. Okay, I'm going to rub them down like crumble mix till they go really, really sandy. It's that easy, just crumble it down. Okay, so I've rubbed it down, I've made a well and I've added the water. I'm just going to mix it now to a sticky paste, okay? There's no skill involved here at all. You've just got to get your hands in, get it to a sticky paste, okay? So, water's in, sticky mess, just start to gently knead it. I say gently knead it, you can vigorously knead it really. There's no need to stretch it because stretching it breaks it and makes it sticky again. The method is push, fold, turn, push, fold, turn, push, fold, turn. What that does is it'll mix any ingredients that didn't get rubbed in properly, and it will also add a bit of warmth from your hand because your body temperature is the same temperature that yeast needs to grow, essentially. So what we're doing is we're just extending the protein strands. We're just making a push, a fold and a turn, which locks in a layer of air. You need to develop the protein strands in this way so that when the protein strands are all, come to me George, when the protein strands are all elongated, the yeast, the CO2 in the yeast starts to rise, and those protein strands trap it and it proves. The first prove is all important. That's the one that makes it a really, really nice colour at the end. And what I'm going to say is you're going to need a good 10 minutes push, fold, turn. If I can do that really slowly, push, fold, turn, push, fold, turn. If you just do this, push, fold, turn, push, fold, turn, that'll do, that will do. But do resist the temptation to do this because it just tears it and it goes back to being sticky again. When I've done 10 minutes of push, fold, turn, what's going to happen is I'm going to cut this and you'll see each layer that I've created of air, like the pages of a book. Hopefully the camera will be able to pick it up. So 10 minutes, push, fold, turn, push, fold, turn, push, fold, turn, push, fold, turn. This is kneading, obviously. Okay, this has had 10 minutes, push, fold, turn, push, fold, turn, push, fold, turn. When you get really good at it, you push, fold, turn, push, fold, turn, but you know, that's just the way I do it. So what you'll notice is it's cleaned the table, it's gone nice and smooth. That will go smoother after its first proof. Okay, just to see if I've done it properly or not, we need to get close in here, George. What I'm going to cut it now, and we should see each push, fold and turn is evident as a layer, whether the camera picks that up or not. A little bit like the pages of a book or puff pastry. That tells me it's had enough kneading. It's gone nice and smooth, really simple now. This is really important. Into a bowl, and I'm going to say cling film is the best way to proof bread because it creates a really nice moist atmosphere and it traps all the gases. I'm going to do it quite loose so the bread can lift it, and I'm looking for a proof that comes right up and then drops a little. It's called a drop, so it proves right up, drops a little. That's going to take an hour, maybe 2, I don't know. You can put it near a radiator. My best guess is if you use blood warm water, i.e. you stick your hand in the jug and you feel nothing but wet, excuse me, that will be enough to prove it. You've also put a lot of warmth through your hand in it also. This recipe never goes wrong. The simplest things are often the most difficult to get right. There's no hiding from plain white bread. It's either soft, fluffy and light, or it's not. These will be that. Okay, so I've changed the bowl so it can rise and I can see the rise better, okay? It's probably tripled, quadrupled in size, so I'm gonna just open it and it should smell like a freshly painted room. It smells delicious. So, a bit of flour on my fingertips. Can you see, look, can you see the air that's started to develop? Can you see it? Okay, so back out onto the table for about another minute. This is called a knockback. Just knock it back for another minute. What that does is it reinvigorates the yeast and redistributes it evenly, and it will give it a nicer colour and texture at the end when it's cooked. You can actually hear the air in it starting to squeak. So that's just the same process, push, fold, turn. If you look, it's full of air now. It's full of, well, CO2. And it's gone a lot smoother. So I'm going to spend another minute making that nice and smooth. Okay, so I've knocked it back, 2 minutes, got it nice and smooth. Then I've scaled it into bread rolls, a couple of French sticks, and maybe a focaccia. And I've got a bit spare here that I don't know what to do with. I might make another focaccia. I might do something inventive with it. I don't know. But the big skill here is making a bread roll. I'm going to start at the back because they've been ready first, so they've started to prove again. So the ones furthest away, you don't want any flour on the table now because this will just skid. So down on the table, flats of your hands, feel it start to grip, put your fingers underneath, bread roll, okay? What I'm going to say is I've scaled these to 70 grams each. All right, let me just show you that once more. Okay, so flat of your hand. See how it's sticking to the table? That's just what you want. Sticks to the table, it starts to grip the table, bring your fingers underneath it, bread roll. I will show you that once more. This is one of those things like chopping quickly. You practice it and practice it and practice it, and then one day it just happens. On the table, starts to stick, fingers underneath, bread roll. The temptation a lot of people I see is they snip these now to make them a bit more interesting. I find that lets a bit of the air out, so I keep them nice and smooth and as simple as possible. So I'm going to fill that tray with bread rolls, then I'll go on to, up to me, George, then I'll go on to the French stick process and show you how to do that. I'm just going to show you the bread roll once more. Okay, on the table, palms of your hands, feel it grip, fingers underneath, bread roll. Okay, that was 70 grams for the bread rolls. I'll show you those in a minute. They're on a tray ready to prove. 250 grams French stick. The process is, I always make it into a torpedo shape first, and we want to go as long and as thin as we can. I haven't floured the table because if you flour the table, to me George, if you flour the table as the dough goes out, because it's floury, it slips back again. I want it to stick, so when I roll it, it stays where it is. So I can flour the pin, that's no problem. Long and thin, but keep it as even as you can. What we're trying to avoid is a big kind of figure eight shape, which I'm starting to get here. I'm just going to loosen that now because I'm going to go widthways. There's that figure eight I'm trying to avoid, but that's not actually too bad. Widthways, I'm going to turn it to myself again, and now I'm going to go lengthways once more. See how long it's gone? Is the table big enough? See how long it's gone? And I want it to be just the length of my kind of French bread cooking device. You don't need one of these, to be fair. I just like them because they hold it in a nice shape. So, long and thin, out a little bit. Now, to get that, to me, George, to get that spiral that you see at the end of a French stick, all I do is I roll it, nice and tight. If you had a palette knife, you could ease it off the table. I haven't got any equipment at home, so that's my biggest downfall. There we go. Try and get the join, the loose bit along the bottom. So it kind of, as it proves, it doesn't push it away again. I'm going to put that into the, whatever it's called, French bread cooking device, And what I'm going to do is, I maybe could have done this before I moved it. I don't know if it will work now. I'm going to score it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Bit of flour over the top. I'm going to repeat that process for the other one, wrap it in cling film, put it to prove, onto the focaccia. Okay, I've decided I need quite a lot of focaccia bread or dough to fill this massive tray. It's not real focaccia dough in the classic sense. It's not, it's a cheat. It's just plain white bread that we're going to dress up to make it look like focaccia dough. So, again, I've started with the basic shape of the tray, kind of an oblong, and I'm going to roll it out as best I can. This is very tricky. Okay, this is very tricky. I'm going to roll it out as best I can, then add it to the tin, and then press it in with my hands. Okay, so I've got the basic shape of the tray rolled out ready as best I can. If you have a corner that rounds off like that, just persuade it by jiggling it around a little bit. Okay, inexpensive olive oil. Don't use your good stuff. A relatively inexpensive olive oil in the base. Add your dough, okay, and just squidgy it into the corners, or squish it into the corners. What I'm going to say is the dimples that you put in it to catch the olive oil often just, back up to me, George, often just prove out anyway, so don't break your heart if you can't get the dimples in. And don't put too many dimples in because it creates too many little holes for the air to escape. So at this point in time, I just do some basic holes, not too many. You might say, well, why don't you put the holes in after it's proved if they just proved out? If you do that, they just prove out and then you do it and then you burst it anyway. So just put some holes in as best you can. I'm going to dress it with olives and some rosemary and some more olive oil, and I'll show you how it looks when it's done. Okay, so this does look like a little bit of a botanical garden at the moment. I've had to use this rosemary off a bush, which isn't as neat and precise, but the rosemary gets knocked off at the end anyway. What I'm going to do is cover it in olive oil, and I'm going to leave the sea salt until the end, just before it goes in the oven, because sometimes if the sea salt goes on too early, it can kill the kind of yeast at the top and you get a very kind of leathery effect on the top. So I'm going to cling film that, stick it somewhere, and that's going to really, really grow, maybe double, treble in size. You can see it's already started to blister. The olives are being poked out. I'll just put those back in. So that's going to prove, and that'll go into the oven when it's probably trebled in size, and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, they've kind of doubled in size now, so they're going to go into an oven at about 180, 200 degrees until golden brown. Okay, the focaccia's doubled in size. I'm just going to add a generous sprinkling of sea salt over the top, and that's going to go straight into the oven at 180, 200 degrees. So there we have 2 French sticks, a focaccia, and 15 bread rolls, all from one mix.